Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new sports cards video. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down to you guys what exactly I look for when investing in sports cards and breaking you guys down pretty much the reason why I'm going all in on one specific player. So without further ado, we are going to hop right into this video. So the player that I am currently about to buy up a lot of his cards is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. I do have a few main reasons for this investment, and during this dip, when a lot of cards are a lot more affordable than they were during the peak in 2021, I do just want to break down what exactly my thought process is behind investing in some of these players that I'm investing in, and why specifically I'm investing in Giannis. So the first thing that really appeals me into Giannis's cards is given the fact that his cards are ultra low population. So if you look at, for example, his green prism right here, it's a pop 38. If we want to compare to recent years, we can look up, for example, a Luka Doncic green prism and go ahead and see what that's going for, or what the pop on that is. But bottom line, the pop in 2013 was much lower. So you can see a pop 676. And then if you go back and compare that to Giannis's, you're going to see that Giannis's pop on a lot of different cards is going to be significantly lower than recent years. So I do believe that in the long term, plain and simple, I do not believe that the supply is going to be able to outpace the demand. I believe there's going to be more than 38 people who are willing to pay market price on a Giannis Antetokounmpo Green Prism PSA 10. And of course, this card is a card that is, in general, if you're going after Giannis cards, his rookie cards are pretty much only with Select and Prism. There is no Optic, Mosaic, Hoop, or there is a Hoops, but there's not so many different parallels like there is today with Obsidian and so many different parallels. It's pretty much just his Prism or Select are his two main options if you are investing in Giannis cards. So that is one thing that I really like in general in his cards, but I do believe in the player as well. So that's another thing. So the first thing I look for is the overall market. So I will, of course, go back to previous sales. Of course, you cannot base previous sales from years ago, because it doesn't really do much for you, but it does give you a decent idea of, okay, when the market was doing good, when a lot of people were buying up Giannis's cards, his green prism went to, say, 43.2K. So you can use that as a little bit of a baseline. I do it a little bit, but to be honest, the main thing I'm looking at is the future. So I'm essentially saying, I do believe that Giannis is going to be one of the faces of the NBA. I do believe he's going to go on to win more championships. He's already won a Finals MVP, 2 regular season MVPs, and he hasn't really even reached his prime yet. So with the healthy Bucks, of course, last year Chris Middleton was out, which really affected the playoffs for the Bucks. But I do think in the future, Giannis has got a shot to win it each and every year. And if a few years goes his way, he could end up with a couple of championships under his belt. And I think that's going to be huge for his cards. And when the market does start to come back up, I do think that a lot of people are going to be buying up Giannis's cards. And some of his most important cards have such a low population in investment grade condition. So we see his orange out of 60 with the pop 6, which is incredibly low. And if you look at all the different parallels here, you can see around 10 different parallels with Prism. Whereas if you look at other players such as Luka Doncic, you can just see that there's a million different parallels, right? I went over this in a recent video, but essentially previous years before the sports card market really started to buzz, you couldn't really find that many parallels. And right now, just the amount of sheer production on a Luka Doncic Prism, for example, is going to just, I believe in the long term, really hurt the prices. Now, if you look through all of these different parallels and compare it to just Giannis's 5 to 10 different parallels, and then Luka, of course, has a Mosaic, has an Optic rookie card, has Obsidian, all these different parallels of these different sets. So that's a few of the main things I look for, and that's why I believe that Giannis in the long term, his cards are going to greatly benefit from their low population. If the sports card market continues to grow, I could see hundreds of people wanting to buy these cards, and if there's only 6 to 30 of each card, I do believe that the prices are really going to do well. So if we go back here and look at the different cards and different price levels, because I know I'm personally going after Prism numbers for Giannis, but I know a lot of people cannot quite, haven't quite got to that level yet. So I do know that there are a lot of other investable Giannis rookie cards. And the great thing is, if you're investing in a Giannis rookie card that's relatively inexpensive, there's not many options for investors. So a lot of them go after his select base, which I do like a lot, just because the populations are good enough to where I could feel comfortable with the pop 1400 for a PSA 10. It's not terrible considering that a lot of investors are going to be going after his select rookie card in particular. So I do believe that this in the long term is going to do really well. It's gone down so much over the last year or so. So as you guys can see, the last year it's down around 44%. But if you look at the last 2 years, that's when you really see that it's gone down 75%. So we can see this card peaking at almost $2,000. And it's currently down to around $440. So I do think that this card in the long term is going to start to creep back up. There's a few other options. I personally do not like Pinnacle and Hoops as much. I know they are lower pop, but the demand for them is much, much less. So that's why I'm personally a bigger fan of Select, because early year Select is still very tough to grade. I don't believe many more of these will grade a PSA 10. So, it's not too bad. I could definitely eat up with a 1400, PSA 10 population. So that's a few of the reasons why I do believe Giannis is a great buy. And then, of course, like I mentioned, his play on the court is going to be what really drives this card up. And I do believe that Giannis is one who really has a great work ethic, even though he's achieved so much in his career. And that's another thing I really look for. It's like, how motivated is this player to really take their game to the next level? Because a lot of people, quite frankly, we see this a lot across different players, when they get a big payday, when they feel like they've made it, they kind of put their foot off the gas a little bit and they become content with their new lifestyle and just enjoy life that way. I do think Giannis is one of those players who really wants to be one of the greatest of all time, and that's why I believe his work ethic is going to continue to lead him to success. So as you guys can see here, his silver Select is also one of the cards that I'm really going after. It's a pop 87 and a PSA 10, but the value on this is just incredible in my personal opinion. If you look at his different ratios, so for example, his Select Silver PSA 10 is going for around 4K. If you want to go to his Prism Silver PSA 10, that is likely going to be around 14K. So if you look at that ratio, you're paying less than 30% for his Select Silver compared to his Prism Silver. And if you look for a lot of other recent years, such as Luka's Prism Silver, you're going to see that they're going for a lot more. So you can see his Prism Silver is at 1570, but in relation, his Select Silver is going for a decent amount. I believe more than half of the price of his Prism Silver. So as you guys can see right here with this base silver, we're seeing his Silver Select is essentially half the price of his Silver Prism, whereas Giannis's Select is around a third the price of his Prism Silver. Sorry, this is like a word jungle up, but if you get what I'm saying, essentially you can go and base the ratio. So if you look at Luka, his Select Silver is half the price of his Prism Silver. If you look at Giannis, his Select Silver is a third the price of his Prism Silver. So there could be a little bit more opportunity with his Select Silver, and the pop numbers are relatively the same. So I think it's a pretty good comparison. In terms of relation, of course. So you can see his Prism Silver is a pop 77. It's going for 14 grand. His Select Silver is a pop 87. It's going for only 4 grand. So that's one reason I'm going after a Select Silver right now. But yeah, this is just, one big investment I'm making. I did want to make a video about it just to document it, see where, we can come back to this video in a couple of years and see how it turned out. But I do believe that, these cards are really going to hold a lot of scarcity in the long term and a lot of demand in the long term. So this was a card that we actually recommended to our members a few months ago. And I do believe it's going to continue to, in the short term, who knows what's going to happen, but in the long term, I do believe that this card is really going to go up. I do see it being a $10,000+ card in the near future. It's a pop 64 Prism Auto. I truly believe, I know it's tough to say in this market, that this card's going to do this much by this time, but I do believe that Giannis in the long term is really going to pay off with his low populations. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you would like to go ahead and subscribe, help get us to 50,000 subscribers, go ahead and do that. But other than that, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'm out. Peace.